broadcast of A Prairie Home Companion. With Mr. Andy Stein on the fiddle, Mr. Peter Estrusco, Cindy Cash Dollar, joining Pat Donahue and Rich Dworsky, and the Guys All-Star Shoe Band. Our award-nominated acting company of Tim Russell and Sue Scott, with two sound effects men today, Mr. Tom Keith and Mr. Fred Newman. Our special guests tonight, celebrating the 30th anniversary of our broadcast. From our very first broadcast back in 1974, Mr. Philip Brunel is here tonight. Beautiful young jazz singer from California, Inga Swearingen, is here too. A fabulous country band from Nashville, Tennessee, BR 549, is here. And Geraldine Steele, oh, Geraldine Steele, as well, sings some gospel with us. Ah, St. Paul, Minnesota, my father and my mother. The cathedral is on one hill, the Capitol on the other. And the old Mississippi River swings slowly round the bend. The big sky, you and I, lucky, lucky us, my friend. Good to have you with us. 30 years of our radio show. Who knows how these things happen, but they just do. We're not going to talk a whole lot about the passage of time, but July the 6th, 1974, our first show. I barely remember it. Thank God we've destroyed almost all of those early tapes. I love radio. Radio is the medium that allows you to walk unhindered in the world. You get into a cab out at the airport and you head for home, and after a while the cab driver says, "Your voice kind of reminds me of somebody." That guy who's on the radio? I say, "Oh, is that right? Yeah, people have told me that." But you're older than I thought he would be. Yeah, that's probably true. Probably true. He probably is. Oh, so you're not him? No. I'm from Northern California. Wayne Albers is my name. I'm a bartender there at the Kit Kat Club in Arcata, California. Used to come from here, but came back to see my mother. Lives down near Lake Nokomis, South Minneapolis. We're going out walleye fishing. It's the opener. My mom, she's 89. She's always liked to fish with a shotgun for some reason. I don't know. Just independent woman. You never could get away with that on television, but you can on radio. You can also have this terrific band here. Let's bring him up here and start off the Powder Milk Biscuit segment of our show. Mr. Pat Donahue on the guitar and a tune called Down Yonder. pleased to have with us on our 30th anniversary broadcast two of the finest sound effects men in the radio business today, Mr. Tom Keith, Mr. Fred Newman, on our show. Two men responsible for giving bad dreams to millions of American kids.
Boy, it's so darn dark all of a sudden, Rex. I think we're lost. How come those giant birds are circling overhead? Rex? Where'd you go, Rex? Uh-oh.
So many kids tuning in our show for a little amusement before bedtime instead have found terror and bad dreams. Yes, now you can do the same and earn big money with a career as a radio sound effects man after just 36 lessons by mail order from the Newman Keith School of Montclair, New Jersey. At the Newman Keith School, you'll progress rapidly from simple sounds like ocean surf, helicopters, and jet airplanes, to more complex sounds such as a man playing the bagpipes underwater and being attacked by a shark. A chimpanzee flying a Curtiss biplane and walking out on the wing to repair the engine in mid-flight. A car racing along a country road and skidding out of control through a chicken house. A man chasing a mosquito with a chainsaw. A man walking down the street with a parrot on his shoulder carrying a boombox. A small infant being rescued from the path of an onrushing locomotive by a St. Bernard. A man playing the trumpet as he tap dances in shoes with plungers on the soles. An elephant listening to the Bach Passacaglia for solo cello. An elephant listening to it and then blowing his nose into a handkerchief. A career in radio sound effects can be yours with a 36-lesson course from the Newman Keith School of Montclair, New Jersey. It's our 30th anniversary broadcast of a Prairie Home Companion. When you do a broadcast like this, you want to have some younger people on it so it doesn't feel like a retirement party. So we invited this all-star band from Nashville, Tennessee. Don't they look like a country band? Don't they look exactly like a country band ought to look? Back when country bands played country music, please welcome from Nashville, Tennessee, BR 549.
Well, lightning struck at midnight with the thunder and the rain. My sleep was interrupted by the rhythm of a train. I asked up the conductor where this old train was bound. He punched my ticket, then he whispered Memphis town. But there ain't no train to Memphis anymore. You've got to take the highway when you go. Well, them rusty tracks from Nashville lay beside that stretch of road. But there ain't no train to Memphis anymore. Myself and crossed my heart to see if it was real, or was I just imagining the grinding of the wheel? Well, I swore I heard that whistle and the clickety-clack as I rode that phantom streamline on a westbound track. Because there ain't no train to Memphis anymore. You've got to take the highway when you go. Well, you rusty tracks from Nashville lay beside that stretch of road. But there ain't no train to Memphis anymore. Oh, Christmas Road! Woke up from a dream. I felt a bit confused because I was blinded by the steam. Well, I said I come from Nashville and I just got off the train. And that driver looked at me as if he thought I was insane. Because there ain't no train to Memphis anymore. You've got to take the highway when you go. Well, them rusty tracks from Nashville lay beside that stretch of road. Whoa, 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 whoa. But there ain't no train to Memphis anymore.
BR 549 from Nashville. Mr. Chuck Mead, Chris Scruggs, Don Heron, Cheryl Wilson, and Jeff Firebaum. This is just one of my favorite words. It's gradually been coming over me. I've been avoiding it now for years, but it's such an expressive word. It says so much in just a few syllables. Whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever. Join us on the refrain here, won't you? Well, I think I'd like to head on down to the shopping mall. Just look around for a jar of jam or a Pinot Noir. It's Wanda's birthday on Wednesday. Would you like to come along?
Whatever. On the way, we could stop for a bite at Mom's Cafe if that's all right. Have a Coke or a cafe mocha, a grilled cheese, and shoot the breeze. My treat. What do you say?
Whatever. How do you like my hair this way? I think it looks like a bad toupee, a little too short on the sides. Wanda thinks I ought to have it dyed. I'm sort of thinking about henna.
Whatever. Now does this blouse go with these? Pants with patches on the knees? Red stripes and olive? Maybe not. I've got one in apricot. Think I ought to change. Whatever.
You know, I'm thinking maybe I might quit my job and maybe it's time to stop and sell my house, move away to Taos, maybe write a play. Do you think I ought to do it?
Whatever.
You know, Wanda was telling me just this morning she thinks I'm getting a little boring. My values are a little warped. I'm narrow-minded and self-absorbed. Do you think I am?
Whatever.
that's all that I have to say. Hope you like my song, okay?
I guess this verse is the end.
Well, unless you'd like to hear it again.
It's up to you.
Either way.
Whatever.
First portion of our show brought to you by Powder Milk Biscuits in the big blue box with a picture of the biscuit on the cover. Made from whole wheat raised by Norwegian bachelor farmers, so you know they're not only good for you, they're also pure mostly. Give shy persons strength to get up and do what needs to be done. Heavens, they're tasty and expeditious.
Has your family tried 'em powder milk? Has your family tried 'em powder milk? Well, if your family's tried 'em all, you know you satisfied 'em. They're the real hot item powder milk. Be kind to your well-footed friends, for a duck may be somebody's mother. Be kind to your friends in the swamp, where the weather is very cold and damp. You may think that this is the end. Well, it's not, because there's one more chorus. Be kind to your friends in the swamp, where the weather is very cold and damp. I had little children that wouldn't lay an egg. Poured hot water up and down its leg, and the little chicken hollered, and the little chicken begged, hot chick, a hard-boiled egg. What did I say? Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality.
Oh, you can't get to heaven on roller skates. Cause you roll right by them pearly gates. Oh, you can't get to heaven on roller skates. You roll right by them pearly gates. I ain't gonna grieve my Lord no more.
King George, he had a date. He stayed out very late. He was the king. Queen Mary paced the floor. King George came home at 4. She met him at the door. God save the king. Great green gobs of greasy, grimy gopher got jubilated monkeys meat, concentrated birdies feed, a great big jar of all-purpose porpoise puss and meat without a spoon.
Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball. Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball. Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball, like a ping pong ball. Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball. Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball. Joe's got a head like a ping pong ball, like a ping pong ball.
Nero, my dog, has fleas. Nero has fleas. Nero, my dog, has fleas. Nero has
biscuits in the big blue box with a picture of the biscuit on the cover. Heavens, they're tasty and expeditious. Mr. Peter Strushko going to play you a beautiful tune in this next half hour, brought to you by the Ketchup Advisory Board and by the American Duct Tape Council. And Miss Geraldine Steele going to sing for us.
He's smooth and he's cool. He's fast with a gun. A master in the boudoir. A man in a trench coat who gets the job done. It's Guy Noir. You have to be brave as time goes by and follow your lucky star. If you need help from an older guy, call on Guy Noir.
A dark night in a city that knows how to keep its secrets. But on the 12th floor of the Acme building, one man is still trying to find the answers to life's persistent questions. Guy Noir, Private Eye.
I was in a joint called the Gemini Lounge, home of the all-you-can-eat maraschino cherry bar. 2 minutes before, I'd lost a rather large amount of money to a guy who appeared to know nothing whatsoever about the game of poker.
You know, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that my ace, king, queen, and jack of hearts are going to take those 2 sixes of yours. Let me look it up. I can check out the whole...
No, that's all right. That's all right. I was at the Gemini Lounge to meet a dame who wanted to hire me to find out the name of a guy she'd met here 30 years before.
I've been sitting at this bar so long, they ought to put up a plaque.
You come in here often, or?
Well, I keep hoping I'll run into him.
Yeah, so you met him here 30 years ago.
Yeah,
huh?
right,
Uh-huh.
yeah, right.
And then suddenly I heard a voice singing, coming from somewhere. It sounded like a song that you could almost think of the title of. Hey, bartender, where's that music coming from here?
Yeah, what music are you talking about?
Somebody singing here.
Hey, you must have bumped your head on a ball-peen ham in the wire. Ain't no music in here.
What, you don't hear that?
Hey, you hear somebody singing, Lois?
All I hear is time passing and my arteries clogging up, Joe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Could have sworn I heard something. Well, anyway, tell me about this guy you met 30 years ago. huh?
Yeah, okay. It was like this.
Hey, you want some
What?
music? Tell you what, let me put a quarter in the jukebox. Yeah, I got a nice Joe Venuti tune here. You care for Joe Venuti?
Sure, yeah.
Hey, wasn't he the governor of Minnesota?
But Nudie, no, that's different.
No?
This
Oh,
is
okay.
a jazz violinist, and he
Oh,
had
I see.
hair.
Oh, yeah.
Get it in a moment here.
Sounds to me like your record is skipping there.
Hey,
You're gonna-
just hit it on the side. Hit it hard.
What, over here?
Yeah, a
Where?
little higher, a little higher.
Up here?
Yeah, try that.
Okay, there.
That's good.
Okay, good.
Okay. So anyway, it was spring 1974. It's 30 years ago. The Watergate hearings. You remember those?
Watergate? Sure, yeah.
Yeah. One of the happiest times of my life, I must say.
I see.
I never got so much pleasure out of newspapers and TV in my life.
I see, uh-huh.
Okay, I got all the White House tapes right here on my MP3 player.
Uh-huh.
I listened to them over and over and over again. No, I'm not kidding. Listen to this right here. Listen to this. Yeah.
And B'nai Breath, that's full of Jews. Did you know that? I didn't. Let's see what they're up to. And Passover. Why is that night different from all the other nights? See what you can find out about that.
You know,
The guy killed.
30 years is a long time to hang on to this.
Yeah,
you know?
well,
I mean,
anyway, this guy and I, we used to meet and listen to the tapes and argue about who Deep Throat was.
Oh, Deep Throat,
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
knows that. That was
What?
Bob Edwards,
What?
the newscaster.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
oh.
What?
Is that voice coming from your MP3 player here, or what?
Is what coming from where?
Oh, never mind.
What?
Never
Huh?
mind. Maybe it's coming from the cold air duct up there. Where's your air conditioner?
That's in the basement. Why do you ask?
Well, how do you get down there? Down this way?
Hey, don't
Over here?
go down there, please.
What? No, it's all
No,
right.
look, I'm warning you. Don't go down.
No light switch or anything. Maybe it's down the bottom of the stairs here. Hope it's not missing a step anyway. Spider's web. Ooh, I hate those. Ooh. Boy, pitch black down here. Oh, there's the floor. Feels kind of wet there. It's odd. Hey, looks like a door over there. A little crack of light underneath there. Ooh, the spider who made the spider web. Maybe poisonous. I better not touch him. Just let him crawl down my cheek there. Down my neck. Whoops, he's heading back up. No, there he goes. Down my arm. Down my hand. Out to the tip of my finger, and there you go. All right. I opened the door, and there was a young woman on her hands and knees. She was scrubbing the floor, soap suds all over. She was blonde, and she was beautiful, although her face was smudged with dirt. And then she turned, and she saw me.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
Who are you?
Well, just a guy from upstairs. Noir is my name. And you?
Cindy.
Cindy, really? So you're the one I heard singing down here, eh?
Yes. I'm almost done with washing this floor, and then I'm going to the dance.
The dance?
If I can find something to wear.
Well.
My stepsisters are going too, and they have beautiful dresses.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, whatever you wear.
I've been scrubbing floors for years. I'm not sure I even know how to dance.
Oh, sure you do.
And I can't afford a carriage or jewelry or new shoes.
Hey, come on. You got something money can't buy, kid. You got personality.
Oh, I do?
Yeah. You got the old esprit, the sis bonbon, the do-re-mi, and the je ne sais quoi. You got élan and heart and soul. Baby, you're rock and roll. You got loads of class, the real McCoy, the razzmatazz. You're a bundle of joy. You give me a thrill, for goodness sakes. Baby, you got what it takes. Here we go now. Savoir-faire, savoir-faire. You do fine in the world out there. Hey, you're graceful.
Oh, I wish I shared your confidence. How
why'd you
many
stop?
years have I been scrubbing this floor?
Well,
I
it doesn't
forget.
matter.
What year is it?
It doesn't matter, kid. It doesn't matter what year it is.
How so?
Oh, time isn't important after a certain point, which I reached a long time ago, but never mind. Listen, time marches on, kid, but we don't have to march on with it. We can dance, we can waltz, we can tango, we can do the old soft shoe.
Ooh, how does that go?
Well, just like what we were doing there. Savoir-faire. There you go. Savoir-faire. Good to see all the folks out there. Now turn. There you go. All those years of doing shows, did anyone hear? Nobody knows. It was just a long lost dream, and we tried not to run out of steam. Almost there. Now here you go. Savoir-faire. Savoir-faire. Do your dance for the folks out there. Hey, that's great. You're really graceful. You got the hang of it. Boy, if I were royalty, I'd be on the scene with a glass slipper.
Oh, me?
ASAP.
No, I'm only a cleaning lady.
Come on. Come on. Here, let me just show you a waltz here.
Oh, I can't dance.
Yeah, no, of course you can. Just put your hand on my hip. There you go. Just put one foot after the other, and time just melts away, kid. There you go. Beautiful.
And the friends you used to know.
Russell, Fred Newman, Tom Keith, Inge Swearingen. Thank you, Geraldine Steele. Speaking of steel, there's that gorgeous National Steel guitar, Mr. Pat Donahue.
Feeding him right, yeah, give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone, I declare, stay right at home. But now look here, mama, it ain't hard to keep that hound in your backyard. Give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone. If you give a dog a bone, I declare, stay right at home. Dog a bone. Yeah, give a dog a bone. If you give a dog a bone, I declare, stay right at home. All right. Is just love him some. Throw him a scrap and just toss him a crumb. Yeah, give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone. If you give a dog a bone, I declare, stay right at home. You can teach him to sit or roll over and sing. Teach him to stay at home. It takes one thing. Give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone. If you give a dog a bone, I declare you stay right at home. All right now. And now some dogs growl and some dogs whine. Some jump the fence and that's a show enough sign. Here to give a dog a bone. Give a dog a bone. If you give a dog a bone, I declare stay right at home. All right now.
Mr. Pat Donahue there, Arnie Kinsella on those old drums.
We're all reaching out toward each other, all trying so hard to find a reason to love one another, the bond that unites humankind.
Nice party.
Yeah, yeah.
You must be a friend of Susan's.
Right.
She seems very nice.
Well, we think so.
Yeah. I'm so glad Bob found somebody after things kind of went to pieces for him. Went through a kind of a bad patch back then. Kind of lost hope for a while, but they seemed pretty happy.
Right, right. So you're from St. Paul?
St. Paul, right.
St. Paul,
yeah.
right. You have restaurants here and everything, don't you?
Yeah, we do, yes. Yeah. Several of them.
I had a friend who lived in St. Paul.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He taught at the, there's a university here.
A number of them, yes.
Yeah.
St. Thomas, McAllister.
Yeah, he taught
St.
English.
Paul campus, University of Minnesota.
Right. Yeah. Olson, big tall guy.
No, I don't think I know.
Ponytail.
No.
Carried a knapsack.
No, I don't think so.
We're all reaching out toward each other, searching for hearts and minds, a reason to love one another, the bond that unites humankind.
Kind of nice that a guy from St. Paul can meet a woman from Minneapolis and they
It is nice.
get married and everything.
Yeah.
So you probably know Susan from Minneapolis.
Yeah, we live right next door to her.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get a lot of traffic over there, don't you?
It can be heavy, yeah.
I-35. I've heard stories about that.
Right, right.
What sort of work do you do in Minneapolis?
Me? Oh, well, I'm a marriage counselor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you? You're...
I'm a writer.
Aha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hope so.
What sort of writing?
Fiction.
Fiction. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that must be interesting. Yeah. I've always meant to write, but I couldn't find the time.
Right,
So.
I know. Yeah.
What's your name? Maybe I've heard of you. But...
Carson Weiler.
Oh.
Yeah. I wrote a novel called Spacious Skies. It was part of a trilogy with Amber Waves of Grain, Purple Mountain Majesties.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
Yes, it does.
Sounds familiar. You know, I've always meant to read fiction, but somehow I can't get interest. I mostly read nonfiction.
I see.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
So you do counseling with
Married people.
Married,
Yeah.
sure.
Are you married?
Yeah.
How long?
A while.
Great. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to study that?
University of Minnesota in Minneapolis, the main campus.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that was over there.
It's big.
We never get over there that often.
Oh,
somehow.
I see, yeah.
I don't know. I knew a woman who went to the Minneapolis campus, though. Joyce Green. Joyce Green.
Psychology major?
No, English, I think. Tall girl.
No, I don't think I knew her.
Real smart. She played the guitar in a blues band, actually.
You don't say. Well, what year did she graduate?
78 or so.
Oh.
Yeah.
I graduated in 85.
Always.
A time to reach out and to find the bond that unites humankind.
You know, it's funny you should mention it because I knew a girl who played guitar in a band, actually bass. Her name was Iris.
You're kidding.
Iris Riley. In fact, she was from St. Paul, come to think of it. She was.
That's my wife.
Iris?
Yeah.
Iris, tall black hair, little tattoo on her hip right about...
That's my wife.
Well, we went together for 6 years.
Is that right? She never mentioned you.
Yeah. No. We talked about moving in together, but, well, she wanted to get married, and I wasn't ready, so...
Well, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
The bond that unites humankind.
Been interesting talking to you, Fred.
Frank, actually.
Frank.
Frank.
Yeah. Good to meet you.
Yeah, same here. Oh, and, say hi to Iris.
Oh, you bet I will.
For me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hey, listen, give me a call, too. Maybe we could all go out and do a little Ukrainian food. Iris loves Ukrainian.
I had no idea.
Oh,
really?
Anyway, give me a call.
Oh, sure. Right.
Call me now. We'll all get together.
I can't wait.
The bond that unites humankind.
Carolyn Steele, I want to sing a little song with you about Minnesota.
Yes.
Minnesota, our sweet home,
Our sweet home.
which you left.
I left.
You left to go to Los Angeles in search of fame and fortune and goodness knows what else.
Stop it.
Darling, we got to talk. Way down upon that Mississippi River, not so far away. That's where I hope to live forever. Oh, that's where I'm going to stay. I've traveled traveling across the whole creation. 10, 20, 15, 25 years or more. But right here, darling, I found my sweet satisfaction. Right here by that muddy river shore. How the world is so sad and weary. Everywhere I roam. Oh, mama, how I miss the prairie. How I miss my Minnesota home. Oh, darling, I took a long walk once in Vienna, down by the Danube. I watched the tide come in London on the Thames. I floated down the Hudson and that mighty Columbia. I had a memorable afternoon once in Paris on the Seine. All the world, it's a world of rivers flowing to the sea. Here on the banks of that Mississippi, right here is my home for you and me. You and me. All the world is so sad and weary. Everywhere I roam. Oh, mama, how I miss the prairie. How I miss my Minnesota home. Mr. Peter Schusko. Let's put in a little radio drama here.
The Lives of the Cowboys, brought to you by Wild Bill Brand inflatable donut for your saddle. So a day on the trail ain't so hard on your tail. And now let's join Dusty and Lefty for today's exciting adventure.
Yeah! Get on there. Yeah.
Think we ought to head up the draw there, Dusty?
You must mean the canyon there, partner.
No, I'm thinking about the draw.
Oh, that looks more like a gulch to me, or maybe an arroyo.
Yeah, whatever.
Or a coulee.
Uh-huh.
Think about it. Yeah, I suppose some people might refer to it as a chasm.
Okay, just forget it. You know what today is?
I do not.
It's the 30th anniversary of our partnership, Dusty. 30 years.
You know why I don't like you referring to us as partners, Lefty. People misunderstand.
Oh, what?
You know, I prefer the term colleagues or cronies.
Sure.
Makes it sound like we got money.
Right.
Cronies.
Okay.
Livestock associates. That would be another term.
Dusty, I said to myself 30 years ago, I said I sure would hate to spend the rest of my life doing this, and by George, that's just about exactly what I've gone and done so far.
You regret it?
Bitterly, of course.
Yeah.
Wish I'd married Evelyn Bibelo instead.
Oh, ran out.
Whoa, yeah.
Settle down.
Easy. She was sensitive and caring.
Hey.
Spiritual person.
Hey, what are you stopping? What are you stopping here for?
What do you think I'm stopping here for? I'm going to go over and check this bush here.
All right. Sorry, I had to ask.
She wanted to marry me, Evelyn did.
Mm-hmm.
I said I'd think about it, but you know, romance does not bear thinking about. You just get more uncertain. I should have just leaped into her arms when I had the chance. Now it's too late. Doggone it.
Well, Lefty, most married men didn't know what true happiness was until they got married, and then it was too late.
Well,
only thing they had in common with their wife was that their anniversary was the same day as hers. No, they discovered that marriage is God's way of keeping people from fighting with a complete stranger.
Oh.
The way I see it, only men who ought to get married are men with pierced ears.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How's that?
They've experienced pain and they bought jewelry.
I see.
Simple as that.
No, if I'd married Evelyn Bibelo, I'd have a companion to help me over the rough spots in life. That's how I feel.
Yeah, well, you got me, partner. Your colleague. I've been with you.
Well, that is true, I guess.
Yeah, I've been with you all the way.
Yeah, I guess so. When the horse fell on me and busted my leg, you were there, Dusty.
Yeah, well.
When the rattlesnake came in my sleeping bag and bit me on the chest, you were there.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
When the grizzly chased me up the tree and chewed on my foot, you were there. And when the cattle turned and chased me into the box canyon, and when I drank the whiskey that turned out to be cattle disinfectant, and when I sat down on the campfire, you were there, Dusty.
I was there. I was there.
You know something?
What's that?
I think you're bad luck.
Yeah, well, hey, I don't think you ought to sing here. It kind of rouses up the cattle. I don't. Oh, boy.
I'm just an old cowboy with twigs in my hair. I'm a 2/3 alligator and 3/4 bear, and 1/2 a liar, but let it be known I never told one lie that was not my own. Oh, I got me a ballpoint, hand carved and hand tooled, where I cut a notch for each critic I fooled. It's been 30 years I've been doing this show, and the posse is a-comin', but it's a-comin' on slow. Get along. Easy there, easy there, easy there. Yes, I am a rider in the sun and the rain. I rode with James Thurber and with Mark Twain. They mostly rode better than I, and I mean it, but I am still living, and that is convenient. Easy there, easy. Just whooping, that's all.
Yeah.
Just a song, that's all.
What do you say we head for Yellow Springs there? Find us a saloon with some liberal dance-hall floozies and throw our money to the winds. Wake up in the morning with a mouthful of ashes.
Okay, partner.
Livestock Association.
Okay, Livestock Association.
Thank you.
The Lives of the Cowboys, brought to you by Wild Bill Brand Pneumatic Saddle. It's inflated.
It's our 30th anniversary broadcast of Prairie Home Companion. Whatever were we thinking? Thank goodness we cannot remember. Here's a letter from a listener. Dear sir, our church, Elam Lutheran in Scandia, Minnesota, is celebrating its 150th anniversary. The same week you're observing your 30th, and I just thought you ought to know that. Since 1854, Elam Lutheran has been serving the people of Scandia, carrying out its commitment to sacred music of the highest quality, a commitment that has almost killed us at times. It began when a young German musician named Richard Wagner arrived in Scandia, our first music director. A great composer, but he lasted only 4 months. He played the organ so loud you couldn't hear yourself sing. And the key changes. He'd play Onward Christian Soldiers, you'd be in A flat, suddenly F, C sharp. And do you ever listen to The Ring of the Nibelungen? He thought he was God. He was replaced by Miss Evelyn Palmquist of Lindstrom, a lovely person. A young French musician named Claude Debussy came along, talented, but he'd play a prelude, and it went on and on. The guy couldn't find the melody in a paper sack. He didn't know how to resolve something or when to quit trying. He played the processional, and the choir wound up in the woods. We had no idea what he was doing half the time. So we got a Russian guy named Stravinsky. Came recommended by the bishop, but my gosh, the tempo changes. The guy couldn't keep a beat. He'd be singing, he'd speed up, he'd slow down. Weird chords. People just shook their heads. He thought he was more important than anybody else. And he refused to direct junior choir. That was it. Out he went. Miss Palmquist returned. It was so good to see her. John Philip Sousa came in 1918. Put piccolos and trombones in the organ loft. Did everything in 4/4 time. Had the ushers carry white rifles. We lost a lot of people to the Unitarians that year. So we kind of swung over and went the other way and got a fellow from New York heading toward L.A. named Gershwin. Very nice, well-kept, very polite. Certainly knew a lot about music, but somehow didn't seem totally committed to Lutheranism. And when he played the offertory and the ushers came by with the collection plates, people would forget and they would look up and say, I'd like a Manhattan, not too sweet, Gibson for the wife. Keep the change. Miss Palmquist replaced him. The young John Cage came in 1946. Very quiet man, very nice. He'd be playing and then you'd hear him rap on the keys with a fork or rub them with cellophane. He talked a lot about chance elements in music, indeterminacy. But we'd already had that for years with the older sopranos. So we brought in Aaron Copland. It was spring. He kind of wanted people to dance during the processional and put on calico hoop skirts. But we're Lutherans, we don't do that sort of thing. John Williams came, and we experimented with laser beams, strobe lights, to attract young people. And we did. Too many of them. So he had to go. And we got back Miss Palmquist, 162 years old, but still a trooper. She died a few years ago. We think she did. Her expression changed. She sort of sagged at the keyboard. So we buried her and brought in this fella, Mr. Brunel. Nice person, talented, good musician, but he does get carried away, and you just have to tell him, play the notes. Don't try to make a big impact. Just be on time. Mr. Philip Brunel at the piano. Bravo! Thank you, Philip. We have this terrific pianist who does everything on our show. He plays underscore, he accompanies people, and every so often, like right now, we give him a chance to show off his wares. Please welcome Rich Dworsky. Well, it's been a quiet week in Lake Wobegon, my hometown, out on the edge of the prairie. I headed up there on Sunday. I was going to go to church. I had good intentions. I arrived in town about 10 minutes too late, and I just couldn't bring myself to go in and walk up the aisle and have people look at me and know what they were thinking. He's gained a little weight over the winter, hasn't he? They saying, why doesn't his wife tell him to get a haircut? What if that's true, that story about him falling out of the boat that time and it went around him in circles and he had to grab hold of the bow? So I walked around town, I looked at my boyhood home, and I walked down the main street, walked past the sidetrack tab. There was somebody singing in there, an old man. I walked in. It was the oldest man in town, Senator K. Torvaldsen, sitting at the bar Sunday morning at 10:30, drinking a beer, smoking a cigarette, singing an old dirty song. Wally was mopping up the floor. Wally always cleans up in the sidetrack on Sunday morning. Well, Senator K. Torvaldsen, 95 years old, he's taken up smoking now. So he sits in the back in church so he can get out during the sermon and have a smoke. And he enjoyed the first one so much he had a second. And then he forgot where he was and why. 95. He headed downtown. The sidetrack tap was open. He had a beer, had another beer, and suddenly he was remembering all these dirty jokes, all these limericks I hadn't heard in years. The Bishop of Chichester and the old man from Buckingham and the lady from Knoxville who bought her brassieres by the boxful, and the young man from Antietam and the young sailor named Tex who avoided premarital sex. He was singing this song. I used to live in Chicago and work in a department store there. I used to live in Chicago, I did, but I don't anymore. A woman came in for a girdle. I asked her what kind she wore. Rubber, she said, and rubber I did, and I don't work there anymore. He was having a good time. Well, he said, well, that show of yours, I keep forgetting the name of that, that's got an anniversary coming up soon, doesn't it? What, 30, 25, 30 years? 30, I said. Oh, he said, yeah. I keep meaning to tune that thing in, he said. People say it's not bad. My mother listens to it up to the Good Shepherd home. And my brother listens to it now that he and his wife aren't speaking to each other anymore. He turns it on just to irritate her. She hates it. They've been on the outs, the two of them. They've been on the outs since they went to the Romeo Motel that night, and the mirror fell off the ceiling and scratched them up pretty badly. Shut-in audience, that's a big part of radio. I've always been grateful for it. Wasn't aware of it at the beginning, but as you get older, you are. It's a big part of radio. People who are sick, who are in bed, can't go anywhere. They're grateful for radio. Because when you don't feel well, you're not that good company, so your relatives come and they leave as soon as they can, and they leave you. And our show is a comfort to those people. When you're past 70, heavy metal music doesn't offer you much. And people yammering about tax and spend liberals aren't a big amusement to old people who have real problems. So they tune us in. It's a good part of our audience, the shut-ins. And a lot of them can't reach the radio to turn it off. And some of them aren't aware that it is the radio they're listening to. So, we value them. And then the people who don't get along with each other. That's another big part of our audience. People related to each other who are trapped in a car and who don't want to talk. And our show gives them an out. They have a long drive on the weekends. Say they're going from Westchester up to Vermont, where they bought this summer house, which was his idea, not her idea. She had nothing to say about it, never asked her advice. So he bought this claptrap house up in the country, and now they spend their weekends working like a couple of serfs up there. She hates it up there. They don't know anybody. They drive back to Westchester, and he tunes in our show. It's a good part of the audience. If you can put those two together, the shut-ins and the people who aren't getting along, you got yourself an audience for a radio show. And then if you add a few young, healthy, inquiring minds like you people here, you've got to start on something. And if you don't wreck it, it ought to go on for a while. You just keep a few things in mind. Never hold meetings, ever. The worst ideas have come out of groups of people sitting around a table trying to think up new ideas. You don't need any new ideas. You want to choose ideas that are old enough that everybody's forgotten them, and so they seem like new ideas. And always hire people who are smarter than yourself. If your staff doesn't know more than you do, then you're in trouble. Of course, you have to maintain your ignorance, which is possible. Great things have been done by naive and poorly informed people. Parenthood, for one thing. I think back to that day in June when we all flocked out of the high school in two double lines in our graduation gowns, and we headed down the hill and across that vacant lot towards the football field, and the band was playing Pomp and Circumstance, and we walked onto the field and out to the 20-yard line where all the folding chairs were set up and the flash bulbs going off in the bright sunshine, our parents waving to us, and we stood there and listened to the band play the last strains of Pomp and Circumstance, which they didn't play very well. There was a lot of shakiness in the trombone section, and there was this one vagrant trumpet that was kind of roaming around trying to find the melody. And whoever had the cymbals thought that he was the soloist. And listening to it gave you the idea that maybe kids from this school were not going to light the world on fire. Maybe it was our destiny just to put price tags on the sides of cans of vegetables. Maybe we weren't going to do great things. We all sat down, and somebody from the school board got up and huffed and puffed for a while, and then our class orator, Jean Jacobson, skinny girl, very nervous, came trembling up toward the microphone to read her oration. She was so terrified she stood about 3.5 feet away from the microphone. Nobody could hear a word she said, but nobody wanted to go up and tell her to move up for fear of making her feel bad. So we just sat there and tried to keep a look of interest on our faces, and we gave her a huge ovation at the end. Then the commencement speaker spoke, a man of many, many accomplishments. I have no idea who he was, and he told us that the word commencement comes from the Latin word which means a beginning. So this is not the end. It is a beginning, and welcome to the world. It's not a perfect world, but it's pretty good. Go out there and make your mark on it. Light a candle in the darkness and march to your own drummer if you need to, and don't. It went on and on and on. And then it was over, and we stood and we sang the alma mater. Hail to thee, our alma mater. How we wish that we could dwell longer in thy hallowed hallways, but we bid farewell. On earth's dangerous, lonely passages, long the coasts of grief and fear, in our hearts we long remember how you loved and taught us here. We could see handkerchiefs appearing in the crowd, our parents, and we walked clueless back to school and took off our robes, and then we went home where Mom had made an open house, and all of the relatives came. It was in the backyard, the folding chairs and the canopy, everybody dressed up. The relatives came in the front door, and there was the basket in the front table where they put their graduation gift, cash in an envelope, and we knew what it was. They were tight with their money. $10 was a lot of money to them. They'd been through the Depression. So that's what they gave, pretty much. You wished it'd been more, but you knew that it wouldn't be. And then they went out to the backyard, the big buffet, the ham and the turkey and the coleslaw and the rhubarb pie, and they loaded up their plates, about $10 worth, and sat down and they ate. And you smiled and said hello to everybody, and then you excused yourself and you came into the front hall and you opened up all the envelopes. You didn't look at the cards. You just pulled out all the money. $225, not bad for 1960. Pretty darned good, actually. Then you had to go into the backyard and make conversation. All of your aunts were there, Eleanor and Elizabeth and Aunt Flora and Ina and Elsie and Ruby and Mary and Margaret and Josephine, all of them there. How are you? Fine, fine, fine. So what are you going to be doing next fall? Well, I'm going to the University of Minnesota. Oh, that's nice. What are you going to study? Well, I thought I would go into journalism. Oh, I see. To them, journalists were hard-drinking, chain-smoking men who spent a lot of time in the back rooms of very seedy clubs playing poker and taking the Lord's name in vain. But at least it was better than writing fiction, so. Oh, they said, oh, well, that will be interesting. I always go back to that day in June, that sunny day, and all my aunts and uncles eating their ham and coleslaw and potato salad. Take myself back to that day over and over and over. That's why a person writes fiction, because you believe it could have been different. Everything could have been different. You could have gotten $1,000 from each of them and gone off in euphoria and celebrated and had some vodka and run your car into a bridge abutment and spent the rest of your life on a ventilator in a nursing home. It could have been different. You could have gone into journalism and had a newspaper column called One New Day with Mr. K, an inspirational column that you would do for 30 years. And after 30 years of writing inspiration for people, look on the bright side, dare to dream, be who you are, you would go off and commit a heinous crime. You would shoot a bunch of people for a ridiculously small amount of money and spend the rest of your life as a fugitive with a fake toupee driving your camper all over America and huddled down behind a newspaper in McDonald's with a paste-on mustache and a furtive look in your eye behind your wraparound dark glasses. It could have been different. You could have gone to California with those guys who went out there that August. They were just going to look around, but they all stayed. All three of them, your old pals that you hung around with, stayed in California. They did well. They did very well. But living in California, they lost that sense. Maybe we get this from the weather. It could have been different. And they began to believe that they were meant to be there in California, that they had made the right decision. And so they were entitled to be happy there. Here we believe it could have been different. And this is why we treat ourselves, we treat each other with kindness and delicacy, because you might be me. I could be you. It could have been different. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, nor riches to men of understanding, but time and chance happeneth to them all. That's the news from Lake Wobegon, where all the women are strong, all the men are good looking, all the children are above average. Cindy Cash Dollar. A tune by Peter Skrzyszko called the Cash Dollar Berkshire Blues. Let's come in here with a quick word from the Ketchup Advisory Board.
These are the good years for Jim and me. The kids are in a federal teenager protection program out in Oregon someplace. They send us potholders and lanyards they've made. They seem to be doing well. And every day we sit and enjoy a quiet breakfast. Nobody screams hateful things at us. It's nice. We cut down on yard work by bringing in a truckload of large rocks to cover the front lawn and then planting moss on them. We call it a Japanese garden. Some of the older people in the neighborhood are a little upset, but whatever. And then this morning, I noticed the date on the calendar. I said to Jim, do you know what day this is?
Saturday?
Oh, 30 years ago today. Come on, think. The front seat of a 67 Mustang. We were parked at Lake Calhoun. We'd been to a movie.
I never had a 67 Mustang.
Oh, well, whatever it was. An Impala. I don't know.
30 years ago.
Yes.
I didn't have a car.
Oh, well, maybe you borrowed somebody's. Anyway, we were sitting in the front seat, and we were necking, and we were listening to that song on the radio. You remember that song, our song, the Beach Boys? Oh, what? Oh, Good Vibrations.
I always hated the Beach Boys.
Oh. Well, not that night you didn't.
I hated them.
Oh.
Those falsetto voices. They made me sick.
Oh, really? Huh?
You must be thinking of somebody else.
Well, I thought it was you.
No, I never had a Mustang.
Huh.
I had an old Volvo for a while, but it didn't have a radio.
Are you sure?
That must have been your old boyfriend, Larry.
No, Jim, that was us. We went to a movie, and then we parked looking over the lake, and the stars were shining on the water, and this was back when you had all of your hair. And I remember telling you how sexy Oh, you know, you're right. It was Larry, come to think of it. Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, of course it was Larry. Oh, well. Oh, I'm sorry, Jim.
It's all right, Barb. I used to be tormented by jealousy. And then I found out I wasn't getting enough ketchup.
Ah.
Ketchup is full of natural mellowing agents that help to remove these petty resentments of old boyfriends.
Oh, good.
What do you say we have some right now?
These are the good years here in old St. Paul. Lilacs are blooming, hear the songbirds call. Ketchup in a bottle, jar or aerosol.
Ketchup for the good times.
Ketchup, ketchup.
That's our show for tonight from the Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul. Our acting company, Mr. Tim Russell, Sue Scott, Mr. Tom Keith, Mr. Fred Newman. I want to thank Richard Dworsky back here and the Guys All-Star Shoe Band. Cindy Cash Dollar from Austin, Texas. From New York City, Mr. Andy Stein. Gary Rayner on the bass. Arnold Kinsella on the drums. Rich Dworsky at the piano. Thanks so much, Mr. Peter Ostrushko on mandolin and the fiddle. Mr. Philip Brunel, Pat Donahue, Geraldine Steele, thank you, and Inga Swearingen and BR549. Thank you so much. Oh, come on out here, Inga. Geraldine. Come on here. Let's make that lighthouse shine. Just one more time, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Let it shine on me, let it shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Let it shine on me, let it shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me.
you enjoyed this 30th anniversary performance of A Prairie Home Companion, you can purchase an extended-length DVD by calling 1-800-998-8173 or online at www.prettygoodgoods.org.